Professor Collette Suda, thank you very, very much for agreeing to have this interview with us. It's really an honor and a pleasure to have you here as part of our Rise with Africa conference. Professor Collette Suda is the Secretary for Gender and Social Development for the Kenyan government. I'd like to ask you a few questions, in particular about Kenya and also cultural diplomacy. First of all, as an ethnically diverse country, what role do you see cultural diplomacy playing in Kenya? How important is recognizing and embracing diversity in your country?
Thank you, Mark. Kenya is an ethnically diverse country. It is very important that the different ethnic communities in Kenya talk to each other, appreciate each other, and work together for the common good of the country. It is very important that we recognize that without peace, there is no justice. Without peace, there is no sustainable development. And that as much as possible, all of us must work together to secure peace, lasting peace in Kenya. The experience that we had soon after the last general election, the post-election violence, proved one thing, that we cannot take peace for granted, and that it is a prerequisite for development. I think what ICD is doing is very important. There is a lot of scope for peace-building initiatives in Kenya. There is a lot of scope for peace education in Kenya to get the various communities, the diverse groups, to begin to appreciate each other. So ICD should begin to explore how to partner with various organizations in the private, public sectors, as well as the civil society organizations which are working in the area of peace building and reconciliation. Because what we need to strengthen is dialogue and peace education in Kenya. And we need to do that among the youth so that they also grow up appreciating the importance of peace for stability.
No, I agree. Definitely ICD would be very interested in establishing exactly those partnerships. We feel it's only really possible to succeed in partnership with the local communities, the national and the regional. And that actually leads me to my second question. As you look at the position of Kenya within the region of the African continent and beyond, one of the things that strikes sort of the outsider looking in is, of course, the political map of Africa has very often very little to do with the cultural map of Africa. You have this vast diversity that unfortunately seems to lend to a great fragmentation. You have very little dialogue and exchange between the African countries. So that's my second question to you. As you look at the continent Africa, do you see also a potential there for cultural diplomacy to actually assist in terms of building bridges or addressing this fragmented state of relations within the continent?
Africa is a diverse continent with a lot of groups, different groups of people, different cultures. It is also true that the peace education and peace initiatives need to be established not only at national levels, but also at sub-regional and regional levels, even at the continental level. It's very important because instability in the neighborhood affects stability in another country. So what is happening in the neighboring countries will have far-reaching consequences for our own peace and stability in Kenya. Although Kenya, as a country, has enjoyed relative peace for a very long time, and is actually the center of peace. A lot of Kenyans have participated in peace-building initiatives in different countries and different missions, and so we are known to be the forerunners in peace building in the East African region. But I think there are some times when we experience challenges, such as the ones that we experienced during the last general election.
2008.
2007, and then the conflict that ensued in 2008. And we need to learn some vital lessons from that, and we need to ensure that that is never repeated. So we need to build very strong institutions and create awareness, and to get everybody involved to participate in peace building, and also to include women in peace building initiatives, because usually in conflict situations women are the worst affected, as well as children. It's very important that they are involved in peace building processes, not only in Kenya but in the region, and there needs to be a lot of cooperation and coordination of these peace building initiatives within Kenya and between Kenya and the other East African countries. Yeah.
I think, Regina, you wanted to ask a question as well.
It goes right along with Mark's question. So, as you said, there needs to be coordination. So, on the topic of gender and social development, have you personally had some dialogue with other African questions on these issues that women and children face?
Yes, we are involved in coordinating a number of peace initiatives in Kenya, because we recognize the centrality of peace in whatever else that we do in the Ministry of Gender. So a lot of communities, a lot of organizations that are involved in peace building, the Ministry of Gender is actively involved in the coordination of these initiatives. And we part of our work is to promote peace, because we know the victims of violence are women.
To conclude, I'd like to ask you a question in terms of the importance of soft power. I think one of the greatest products of Kenya that we all are aware of today is President Obama, and we really noticed with President Obama in the United States this new focus on soft power, this ability and this priority to listen even more than to speak to our enemies as well as our friends. What role do you see soft power having in the future of Kenyan foreign policy, and then also in terms of Africa as a whole?
Well, Obama's presidency is a great source of inspiration, not only to Kenyans, but I think to Africans as a whole. But the only statement that, in my view, Obama's presidency has made is the need for change. It's a statement about change, and it is a statement about inclusiveness. Because Obama's father was a Kenyan, so he has that ancestry, and therefore he has the African heritage. And for him to be the President of the United States of America represents hope that all is possible, and that we need to embrace and appreciate as well as celebrate diversity and give opportunities to people regardless of the differences. So that is, in my view, one of the most important statements that his presidency has made. It has inspired a lot of Africans, a lot of minorities to seek positions of leadership. And I think that's a good thing in itself. And it also says something about the transformation that is taking place around the world, that really all these barriers, the cultural barrier, the racial barrier, the differences between men and women, should not stand on the way when there is a strong commitment to overcome these barriers. There comes a time when what is more important is the quality of the person, the content of a person's character, and not the color of the skin or the gender of the person. And when we recognize that some of these criteria are invalid, we will put in position men and women of integrity, of quality, regardless. So if we can transform these, and then I think we will have a better world for all of us.
I couldn't agree more, and I think the words that you just expressed really encompass so much of the vision also of the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy, to try to transcend those borders and bring individuals together regardless of ethnicity, nationality, etc. And I think there with President Obama, as you said, we've seen that role model effect for, I think, Africans, but also global citizens. And I think it's given not only hope to the Kenyans, but I think to the international community. But I would like to take this opportunity to extend my own gratitude for you for having come here to Berlin to speak at this conference. You've had the chance to inspire many young leaders who are here from all over the African continent, as well as the diaspora, as well as I think myself and my colleagues here at the Institute. So thank you very, very much for the time and the energy to have come all the way to Germany for this occasion, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I wish you well in all your endeavors. I look forward to a continuing collaboration.
We look forward to it as well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim.